Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of Predict the Bell. Today, we are going over Saturday night's main event 41. We only have a total of four matches so far added to this card. So we're going to be breaking down all of that on this episode, giving our thoughts, our predictions on those matches. I am your host, as always, Josh. Joining me is Ru on Wrestling.
Hey guys.
So yeah, we're gonna be breaking down all of the matches on Saturday night's main event. I I don't know if they're gonna add more to this card, because we do still have SmackDowns to come. Is there anything in particular you think they would add to this card?
Yeah, I had thought of this earlier, and I was like, I don't actually know. Because as you said, it's Saturday's the main event. It's not like a normal PLE. It's only what 2 hours long, plus 90% of it is adverts anyway.
Yeah.
Um, I used to. So yeah, I can't imagine. So like maybe I don't know, Damien Priest and Aleister Black again. Not that anyone really wants to see that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they will.
Yeah, Priest and Black was the only thing that came to my mind for them to
Mhm.
add, especially a card like this. They don't have a direction for the women's US title, so nothing there will be added. So yeah, Priest and Black is probably the only thing they could add. Um, this is not airing on NBC. They are for America, it's going to be on Peacock, and I think I heard for the UK it's going to be on Netflix.
Yes, I believe so.
So I from what I know, not the case over here in Canada. It'll be on YouTube for us as always. Um, but with it not being on NBC, I don't know if they have a strict time limit anymore, and if this is going to be something going forward,
Ooh.
because obviously with NBC they have the 2 hour time limit, which is why they cut off Goldberg's retirement speech. Um, which honestly, come December 13th, is probably going to be better for John Cena if they don't have that time limit. But I hope that with four matches, potentially five, I really hope that they don't stretch this out longer than it needs to be, and it ends up being like, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 hour show even. Um, a show like this does not need to be that long. Um, so hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, we're gonna be breaking all that down. I believe this starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't even write the time on the website because I was like, wait, I don't even know what time it starts. I'm pretty sure it's 8 as usual. Um, and Saturday night's main event doesn't have a pre-show, so because it's a pay-per-view, not pay-per-view. Um, but before we get into that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews. Subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. Check out the Kayfabe Central Discord server as well if you want a place to chat it up about wrestling or non-wrestling related things. There's a channel for both of those things, so go ahead and check that out. Check out the Kayfabe Central website as well. That's where I post all my written predictions, articles, coverage posts, all that good stuff is on the Kayfabe Central website. So check all that good stuff out. Um, Self promo out the way. Let's jump straight into Saturday night's main event. Um, I didn't even come in here with an idea of what to start with on this card. But let's start with the women's championship match. Tiffany Stratton defending her title against Jade Cargill. Um, I don't think I'm in the minority of saying I don't care anymore. Um, Tiffany Stratton has had an 11th month reign and has feuded with three people 50 times. I don't care anymore. And the way I'm thinking about this is just take the title off Tiffany already and give it to Jade. If Jade loses this, it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense and kind of just realistically would take her out of title contention. Um, because this is her like second, third opportunity, if that, for that woman's title. Jade Cargill is now fully heel as well, so that's another element to it. I'm still not completely interested because Jade Cargill is not someone who's the greatest in ring, whether you're heel or babyface, that doesn't change. And we're going to be talking about that later on as well, um, with that dynamic. But I think it's time you just take the title off Stratton and give it to Jade. It's the typical WWE booking where it's the challenger can't win it on the first try, maybe not even the second, but eventually, the second or third time they win the title. I think that's just going to be the case here.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat, but I've got a little extra to add to it. So I'm with you. I don't dislike Tiffany, but as you said, it's just kind of it's been a long reign and with not many different challengers, and I think WWE has proven that they don't seem to want to build anyone up to potentially be the one to take it away from Tiffany. And the only two people that they've really given us who could be would be Nia or Jade. And in a minute, I would rather Jade, though it's not a massive difference in my mind. But yeah, I think with Jade turning heel, as we said, um, I think it adds at least a bit of a new dynamic. I think that's the issue. Like Jade, I think both actually with the Jade and Tiffany feud, both of them just aren't baby faces, in my opinion. Jade, like, for instance, we know Tiffany. We've seen it in NXT. We know what we're getting there. But like Jade Cargill, I think is a lot better. Just being like, look at her, she's a beast. Just book her like a beast, and it'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, I think that promo Jade cut on SmackDown, while still incredibly rough around the edges, was probably the best one she's cut since being in WWE. Again, it's still all far, far way to go till we've kind of got a sort of finished product. We've spoken a lot. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's something new, and I also believe, I guess, like spoilers for the rest of the year. I believe that the match that they want to do at WrestleMania is Jade versus Bianca eventually. Um, and I think we might start to sow the seeds now, not obviously with the Bianca bit, but with the Jade bit winning the title. So I've got Jade to win here.
Yeah. I I don't like it. Like I said, it's not a knock at, or like you said, rather, it's not a knock at Tiffany Stratton. I think she's fantastic. But she is also somebody that works better in that heel role. And you can't have somebody who's like um that blonde, Barbie type character, but is goody two shoes. That doesn't usually work. Um, and I think like Stu's brought this up multiple times on the podcast. Um, Tiffany needs to go back to being a heel. I don't know if it's gonna happen anytime soon. Especially with if Jade takes that title off of her. Um, I think that is why another reason why we need at least a draft or some sort of shakeup, or some trades happening between brands. I think that desperately needs to happen. Or like NXT call-ups, right? I wouldn't have minded if they didn't continue the Tatum and JC feud, and brought Fatal Influence over to SmackDown. And like obviously that would mean Laney Reed would be learning on the fly, but sometimes that works out for the better. Um, and it probably could have. And I think JC Jane and Fallon Henley are both talented as well, and they could have helped Laney Reed there a bit, and you could have added something to the SmackDown division, because the SmackDown division, especially in a lot of different areas, needs help. Um, but yeah, we're in agreement with this one. I think Jade walks away with the title. Um, so the other three matches for me kind of tie into each other. Well, the exception with the Intercontinental Championship match, the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship between Dominik Mysterio, Rusev, and Penta. Um, that one kind of ties into the other three as well, in my opinion, because I think that Dominik Mysterio retains the title here. There's going to be a lot of chaos, and Dom is going to capitalize. Like, if anything, I see them being like, okay, we can give the title to Penta. I don't think that's going to be the case though, because a lot of rumors, there's a lot of rumors that Dominik Mysterio and John Cena is still a plan, and Cena could beat Dominik Mysterio for that IC title and then ultimately lose it on December 13th, to whomever, whether that be Gunther or somebody else. Um, and I say that ties into um the other three because, and stay with me because I might go a little bit all over the place here. Um, I say it ties into because we have Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, the undisputed WWE Championship match, um, and the vacated World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Jey Uso. Now that ties in because if it's Gunther that ultimately beats Cena for that IC title, and say I don't know what does the others do at WrestleMania because Seth Rollins is out. He's injured. More than likely going to be missing WrestleMania. And that's another thing why you shouldn't have advertised it as, oh, Seth Rollins is the main event of WrestleMania next year because look where we're at now. Um it ties into it because if Cody Rhodes retains, which I think is a very likely option, and that's who I'm going with for that match. Um, who challenges him? Right? It could end up being they could end up swerving us, and Braun Breaker wins the Rumble and challenges Cody. Um, and with the world title, that's also up in the air because I'm pretty sure that the plan was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for the world title at WrestleMania. But now you have to figure something out for Roman. You have to figure something out for LA Knight. Whoever loses between Punk and Jay, you have to figure out something with them. Um, if Jay wins the world title, which I'm leaning a little bit more towards, um, I think that they do something with Roman and Jimmy, maybe a triple threat match, um, for the world heavyweight title. But yeah, there's a lot of things that tie into it with these three matches. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So is this a specific? Are we still talking about the IC match here, or is this just in
Yeah,
general?
just yeah, you could talk about the IC match. I kind of went all over the
Okay.
place, but
Well, I'll talk about IC because then we can maybe break down the other ones individually.
yeah,
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think they've definitely been thrown a massive just into disarray with not just Seth's injury, there's just injuries across the park. I mean, another name you didn't mention there that I think could have played into big plans is the likes of Jacob Fatu as well. Um, so yeah, I think plans are certainly all over the place. I would say if they are still filming, I think they are. And the next season of was it on what's it called again? Unplanned.
unreal.
What's it called again? Unreal. If they're still filming that, this will make a hell of an interesting watch at the minute with the amount of injuries going on. So I think you are absolutely correct that like everything is up in the air right now of what direction we're going to go in. Who's going to be where and who's going to be doing what. And I said we're going to talk about the main, well, I guess the World Championship matches in a bit. But with the IC match, I think for me it's quite simple. What you mentioned, I do believe we're getting Cena versus Dom. Whether or not that's it Survivor Series, well, if that's his last match, who knows? Um, I think we're getting it. I believe we are also going to be getting it for the IC title. I think at least the story of this match will be Penta and Rusev just beating the living shit out of each other and Dom picks up a sneaky win. Like I can totally see like Rusev hitting that kind of like mid-air macho kick on Penta, and then he gets thrown out the ring by Dom, and Dom picks up the win. Like I don't see Dom winning this match with his move. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Um, as I think is how it goes. So I got Dom to retain because yes, I believe going forward we are aiming for this Dom and Cena match it down the line at some point.
yeah, 100%. And I apologize to Root and everybody for going all over the place with that. But there are interesting aspects to things that are happening on this card.
Yep.
And in agreement. I think Dominik Mysterio retains that title, and we can like kind of transition over to the Cody and Drew match because I want to talk about the Jay and Punk one last.
Okay, yep.
Because I'm pretty sure that's going to be the main event anyway. Um, so with Cody and Drew, I think that Cody retains. However, I'm going to throw a scenario out there that there's a chance, a very small chance, that Drew McIntyre wins the title. Um, don't think it's gonna happen because we've mentioned before, Cody Rhodes is their golden boy, and that's probably their WrestleMania plan for whoever it is. Um, however, if Drew McIntyre wins that, there's a lot of people that say Cody Rhodes is better when he's on the chase for the title rather than when he's the champion. And that's very hard to argue with when
Mhm.
you had a lot of good things when he wasn't champion, and when he's champion now, despite him winning it just 2 months ago, it feels like he's held that for a long time, and it's just there's been nothing out of that reign. Um, Drew winning it could add some flair to it. It could add some intrigue to it, and while if Drew wins, he may not hold it all the way till WrestleMania, it adds some interest to it. And Cody Rhodes can be back on the hunt for it. And maybe Drew does hold it to WrestleMania. Then you figure something out for Cody. Maybe The Rock decides to come back and you do Cody versus The Rock. Because if that's your plan, I don't care to see that for the undisputed WWE title. I don't. It shouldn't be. Um, so I think there's that option there. But in the end, I think Cody Rhodes just retains and we continue this Cody Rhodes saga.
Yeah, so like you've said, there's so many avenues that could come out of this match. And I was this is probably the most interested. Like you know my feelings of Saturday night's main event. I'm not gonna. I can't wait for us to do like a year awards or review thing because I have some thoughts on that July edition of Saturday night's main event. This is probably the most intriguing Saturday night's main event that we have had. There's so many avenues that they can come out of this show. So, and I've even got a few extra ones that I think for this. So, I think the wise decision, I say wise more just from a predictions point of view, is Cody will most likely retain.
Yeah.
I am not wise, however, and I'll get to that. So I think Cody will retain. I think there's a high possibility as well that Cody potentially retains like he did previously. Maybe it's not the most exciting on the night. It's a bit of a dud, but he might retain through maybe not necessarily DQ, but maybe he like he did in that match against Randy to win the King of the Ring. Slight heelish tactics to get there. It kind of furthers that story. So there's that. As you said, there is a slim chance that Drew wins because I think it adds a bit of just something different to the story. Um, and as you also pointed out with Cody, like I am a firm believer that is a lot, not just for Cody though, just in general, baby faces are a lot more entertaining when they're on the chase, particularly when they've already had a long title reign, in which we've seen with Cody. I use the analogy of if you compared a wrestling to like a Marvel film, and it's such an amazing thing with wrestling, but the issue with it is it just never ends. Whereas you take a Marvel film, the bad guy takes over the world, the good guys have to work together, good guys defeat the bad guy, and what happens? Nothing. The movie ends. With wrestling, that isn't a thing. They have to think out what's going to happen next. And for instance, if you take something like the Avengers, when Thanos isn't trying to take over the world, what do? Nothing. Like they just sit on their hands and wait for something to happen. That's pretty much what wrestling is. In a really weird roundabout analogy. And we have many bad guys or whatever that appear until we get our big Thanos. So yes, I think Cody is a bit more entertaining on that chase. So I think having Drew as champion adds a bit more just intrigue to it. I always would like to point out, I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, Drew has to win this for Drew. Now, I think I agree 75 to 80%. I think he has to win this because the storyline, he deserves it, firstly. And I think the storyline, as I've just mentioned, would be a lot more interesting with him doing it. Drew will be fine. How many times have we said this about Drew McIntyre? Like, oh, he has to win this, so he's done. The guy is about 6'6", 280 pounds of just Scottish muscle. The guy will be fine. Like he'll always be in the upper mid card to the main event. He should always be in the main event, but like if he has to drop down like he did with the Damian Priest feud, he can. So he'll be absolutely fine. The other interesting bit, and I'm kind of gonna put my cards on the table right now, an early prediction is I am pretty certain that Cody's Mania match is going to be against Randy. I think that's the way they're going, and so that is a feud and a match that I believe does not need the title. There's enough story and ha 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 enough legacy they are between Cody and Randy to tell that story without the title. So that adds an extra element to this match, and that I think Cody potentially comes out of the title feud for a little bit. So whilst I said I think Cody is the wise decision to go for this match, I'm going to take Drew more out of just sheer Scottish bias. That's it.
So that's an interesting point you brought up with Cody Rhodes facing Randy at WrestleMania because at first that was my thought process too. However, I think, and this is where I'm going to tie it back into the presumable main event. Um, I think that Cody's WrestleMania opponent is going to be CM Punk.
Okay.
Um, I don't trust that they are going to go with the Randy thing. I think that if they do it, they're going to do that at a Royal Rumble. Um, because they need CM Punk to do something, and I don't see them putting the title on him at Saturday night's main event. It's very possible that they can just go the simple route and put the title on Punk, and I think that's the best option for them. Um, and like I'm sticking with Cody. That's my prediction because I think that the ultimate plan, especially with Seth Rollins out, is Cody Rhodes for CM Punk because that was teased at one point in time. They did tease that. Um, and it's very possible they just go that route and Randy is a Rumble match, or I think the Rumble would be probably better suited than like an Elimination Chamber or something like that. Um, because I don't know if they have any intrigue in having Randy Orton break the world title record when Cena just did it. Um, I don't know if that's what they're gonna go with. So I think it's gonna be Punk, and that leads me to the world heavyweight title match, where as much as I and a lot of people don't want Jey Uso to win, I think that's where they're going because um WWE, especially under the Triple H banner, has been most successful when they do the bloodline storylines. And no matter how many times they repeat it, people eat it up. They love it. They love the drama between the bloodline. They love Roman Reigns. They always yeet when Jey Uso comes out, and everybody loves Jimmy Uso. I think that's the route they're taking for WrestleMania. Um, and I I've held back for a couple months and I've given Jey Uso chances. I'm not holding back anymore, and um, the wrestling geezer is going to be very happy with what I have to say just now because he's the one of the people who can't stand Jey Uso.
He despises that man.
Um, Jey Uso can't wrestle. He can't. He's not a good wrestler. He's got like three or
He's not a
four.
good singles wrestler. Let's say that.
Yes, as a singles competitor, sorry. He can't wrestle. Tag team with Jimmy, he's fantastic. But when it comes to singles, he's only got like two, three, maybe four moves that he does. One of those moves being the spear, which is probably the worst spear in the industry right now. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure like I'm talking about like as a regular move that somebody does. Like I'm sure there's been times in wrestling where someone is like, I'm gonna try a spear today for the first time, and it ends up being horrible. As like a
Stu
move.
Spear was better. Let's just go say
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. But as like a regular move, he has a terrible, terrible spear. He's just not a good singles competitor, and I don't understand, other than the merch sales and the yeeting, what WWE sees in Jey Uso as a world champion. And I, there's, been the talks of LA Knight winning the world title. which honestly I would have preferred. I would have preferred Punk versus Knight, and then Knight maybe gets the upset and wins the world title.
Yep.
I think that'd be cool
Yep.
too. Um, However, I am so tired of the WWE putting 40 plus year olds in the main event, the same 4 or 5 40 year olds in the main event when you have so much young talent that you can bring up and shake up the world title division or any division that you have. The smart and easy option would have been just put the title on Braun Breaker. That would have been the best option. I don't understand why they are taking the long route with Braun Breaker, or if they have something different planned for him for WrestleMania. Maybe it's just a stupid like tag team match with him and Bronson versus whoever. Um, I wouldn't be interested in that. Um, but I think in the end, Jey Uso may win that World Heavyweight Championship again.
Yeah, so a lot to try and digest there, and go through because there is a lot, because you said it's so up in the air, and I'm trying to think where to even start with it. Um, I think what I'll say is I'm with you, and I think the majority of the wrestling world, but Stu actually, he was quite positive about this match. Um, I would say I think that most of us would have said that I would have preferred Punk in LA Knight, simply because I think this match is a very uninspiring match. And up until Monday Night Raw, I would have said it was incredibly predictable, because I would have said there's absolutely no way in hell that they're putting that title on Jey Uso. It would be Punk. Now, I'll get my prediction in the way first, and we'll talk about it. I'm still taking Punk. I think it's the safe option. I think it's probably the wisest at the minute, unless WWE goes a really specific route in which I'll talk about that has to fit a number of circumstances. I'm with you. You know, I've said in my videos, and I will still say in this podcast, I don't mind Jey Uso. I'm fine. Let's say for me personally, and we talk about it a lot, especially in the hot takes, like the wrestling part, ironically, or the technical wrestling part of wrestling, isn't actually the biggest part for me. If you can tell a hell of a story in that ring, I'm all for it. I would much rather that than technical wrestling. Now, if you can do both, hell yeah. Fantastic. Because don't get me wrong, I love watching a good Takeshita and Okada smacking the living shit out of each other match. I'm cool with that. Um, but it's not the be all end all. So if you have a great character and have a compelling story, I can get on board with that. Now, what I will say is the Jey Uso, Roman, and Jimmy saga is decent. I've been enjoying it on for the most part. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, but I still would have said that I don't think putting the title on him makes much sense. I still think it should be Punk. As I've got Punk. Now, I didn't even consider the Punk Cody match, which you are absolutely correct. They did tease that a lot, and it's something that completely went out of my mind. So that is definitely a way that they could go. Now, the bit as I mentioned earlier, saying that there's no way in hell Jay wins this match until Monday Night Raw, when Punk said to Jay, "What are you willing to do to win this title?" And now I have a lot of doubt. As I said, I'm still taking Punk, but I think there's a very good chance that Jey Uso wins this match now. And if he wins this match, this is what I was talking about. There has to be a really almost linear process that WWE has to go under to make it make sense, and for the fans to, well, at least the online fans, because we know it's very different, the reaction in audience compared to online. If they are going to take this bloodline story, as you mentioned, Josh, and run with it, I'm okay with that. As I say, I know a lot of people that won't be okay with that. I don't mind it. As you said, it's always very successful. As long as they're willing to run with it and run with this Jay sort of losing himself storyline. Because I've even said in the past, I actually am cool if they want to do a Jimmy versus Jay rematch, simply because we know the two probably can put on a hell of a lot better match than that absolute stinker that they put on at WrestleMania 40. But I did say if they do it again, I'm out. Like, if you burn me a second time, then please never wrestle again, the tweets. So I wouldn't mind seeing that feud as well. Uh, then, now, as you brought up, quite rightfully so, I think there is a lot of questions around why Braun Breaker isn't involved here. And my only answer to this is because they're waiting to put that title on him at a big show at Mania. Braun is clearly the future, and it would be an incredible crowning moment for Braun to pick up that win at Mania. And that's only if they do that. If they don't do that, then what was the point in everything? And what is the point of Braun not just being involved right now? So, lots of things to think about. As I said, I am slightly more concerned now that they are going to put the belt on Jay. But I am taking Punk. I think it should be Punk going forward, unless they are willing to take on and go along those certain steps that I spoke about.
Yeah, that's a lot of fantastic points. Um, I think the worst possible outcome that they could go with, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this potential outcome, and with WWE, I don't put it past them, is Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed causing a disqualification and nobody ends up being the world champion.
You're gonna love this. I've got my predictions ready to come out tomorrow. I talk about that exact point. So there
If
you go.
that happens, I it's already hard enough for me sometimes to watch this product. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to get motivated to turn on the live on Monday and open my laptop and cover Monday Night Raw on Monday because that is the worst possible thing that they can do, in my opinion.
Hmm.
To not prolong this any further, crown a new world champion and work from there. Um, Another possible option that I can see happening is Jey Uso wins the World Heavyweight Championship due to shenanigans and fully turns heel and aligns himself with the Vision.
Oh,
Um, I think that has a very good chance of happening because it's very possible with Paul Heyman there being like, you know, years ago, 5 years ago, when I introduced Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, I saw one future, and that was main event Jey Uso. Because remember, there was a point in time where Paul Heyman said Jey Uso is the next Tribal Chief.
yep.
And it is very possible with the new edge we've seen to Jey Uso that he aligns himself with a Vision as the new World Heavyweight Champion. He turns heel, the crowd turns on him, he stops yeeting, and I think honestly that would get me more intrigued with Jey Uso because I think that is the most interesting angle that you can take.
Yeah, that's kind of leading on what I was saying as well. The fact that if they are going to go down this Jey Uso route and are going to pull the trigger on him being the World Heavyweight Champion, they need to stick to a very simple storyline, and Jey has to become a bad guy. There is no other way unless they want to start doing and go through an entire Roman Reigns in 2015-16. That's what's going to happen. Now, granted, it's maybe not as extreme as that. Again, I brought up the point of the actual in-person reaction compared to the online reaction is very, very different.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that it's slowly going to start to creep in. If they keep up this moniker of main event Jers. I mean, I brought up this in my video when I talked about this match, and the fact that they please never give someone the moniker of main event again, because all it's done is pigeonholed him into this really hard to escape hole. Because I brought up, if you take Jimmy, you take Big Jim. Big Jim can walk in the undercard. Big Jim can be a tag team wrestler. Big Jim can be a mid card wrestler. And Big Jim can be a world champion. Main event Jey Uso can't wrestle in the mid card. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So instantly, you've already set the guy up for failure by calling him main event. Which everyone, all the folk that hate him, have memed on and think quite rightfully so. So yes, I think if they're going to pull the trigger on Jay, they have to not just pull the trigger; they need to shoot the cannon. Like they need to just go balls to the wall with it. And I think that will be the most compelling story to come out if Jey Uso is to become the new world heavyweight champion.
Yeah, 100%. Um, it just needs something different rather than Jey Uso repeating. his world title reign from last time, coming out with the crowd and yeeting with them. Because I don't know if you caught it on Raw or not. There was a few people in that building that were booing Jey Uso because people don't want to boo CM Punk. If they were to turn CM Punk heel, it wouldn't work. Nobody wants to boo that guy.
Yep.
He is probably a bigger name than Jey Uso because nobody
Oh yeah.
wants to boo CM Punk. It would make so much sense if WWE sees that and they're like, okay, let's fully work with this and turn Jey Uso heel. That way, Jay wins the world title. People online are pissed. The fans in the arena are pissed, but he's a heel now, so it works.
Yep.
I think that is probably the best outcome that they can go with. The other best outcome, though, if they don't plan on doing that, is just CM Punk winning the title.
Yeah. It's the safest option, I think, with how it just comes down to WWE's own plans. Obviously, at the end of the day, that's the whole point of wrestling. We don't know the creative. They might have just written everything we just said about Jay so down on the board in the boardroom, and that's what they're going to do. And if they do that, cool, everything's fine.
Yeah,
Obviously, we don't know that though. So yeah, I think CM Punk is the safest option here to go with. As you said, I would have still been more intrigued. I think if this had been Punk and Knight, because then it's kind of a win-win situation. I don't mind who wins that match at all. Um, but yeah, I think it's the safest option. But I will be very invested in the match. I said this is probably the most invested I've actually been and cared about a Saturday night's main event, probably since it started. Like,
yeah, yeah. I'm to throw like a bit more positive flair onto this match. We say it all the time on this podcast. If it's unpredictable, then that's a good thing. So
yep,
this isn't entirely terrible. This is the best that they could come up with in a short amount of time with Seth Rollins being hurt, and that's completely fine. But make the most of it. And I think the fact that there's different outcomes to this match, um, is a good thing. There's so many different things that they can go with. Um, like I know we said that with the Zarya and Blake Monroe match for Halloween Havoc, and then they just went with the most
yep.
simple outcome possible. Still don't believe Soul is hurt, and if they were to pull a trigger on that,
Oh,
should have
absolutely
been at Halloween Havoc. But that's that. That's a topic for another day. Um, just have CM Punk win it, and if you don't, and you have Jey Uso win it, turn him heel because the crowd eventually is gonna make him turn heel.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's the way as you said, Leo. If you look at it from the three, actually let's take four people that could slash should win or be in that main event scene. If CM Punk wins it, cool. Everyone's happy. CM Punk is world champion again, and we get to see it for more than 2 minutes. If LA Knight was in the match and he was to win, everyone's happy, apart from people who don't like him, obviously, because LA Knight, this man who's been clamoring to the top and we've been wanting to see be world champion for so long, and he deserves it, finally gets his spotlight. If Braun Breaker was in the match and he wins, sweet. The future is now with Braun Breaker. We get to see it, and we just go, as I said, full 100% into it. Cool. If Jey Uso wins and doesn't turn heel, people are just disappointed. If Jey Uso wins and does turn heel, people can be mad, but it makes sense. People
Yep.
are allowed to be mad at that point, and that's where the difference lies.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I will say Jey Uso's promo on Raw was a lot better than he's done
Mm-hmm.
before. And that's with him having that little bit of an edge to him. So that should be your hint, WWE, that maybe this guy's gonna work better as a heel. Because
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Usos when they were heel in that Bloodline
Mm-hmm.
saga in 2022. They were good. They could have had some better feuds, but they I liked them. I liked the entire Bloodline in that era. So turn the guy heel
Yep.
because eventually there's gonna come a time where you're gonna have no choice but to turn him heel.
Yep, absolutely. And I think what's actually just on that, because that really annoyed me that promo on Raw, because as you said, Jay was actually good. I think Jay Jay can be good. He can be. And I think we're all in well, at least all these you and me and definitely wrestling geeks, I know that's on agreement that I think Jimmy all around is the better. Well, he's the better in ring and he's the better on the mic. He's the better at telling a story. That's just me. I've always thought that even when the Usos were a tag team, I've always preferred Jimmy. It was a lot smaller back then, but I always have. My issue with that promo in Raw, because as you said, there was glimpse of really good character work and development from Jay in there and storytelling. The issue was every other, like every, I don't know, at the end of every sentence, he had to go 4 letters, one word, yeet. Like,
Yeah.
stop it. That was my issue. I was like, this is actually a really good promo. And then he will throw that in, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So WWE, quit it. He's actually can. See, I'm not sitting here saying that he's the best promo in the company. He's absolutely not. And I said, I think Jimmy Allround is better. But he has, there's a reason why, like, he's who he is. He can cut a good promo when he wants to, when he's not even given this pissing yeet moniker to deal with.
Yeah. And like going back to the idea of the bloodline triple threat for the world title between Jade, Jimmy, and Roman, there's a lot of interesting things you can do there. You could have Solo in the mix and, go up
Hmm.
to one of them, like whether it be Roman, Jay, or Jimmy, and be like, you know what? I'm gonna side with you a little bit on this one. Or you can have Sami Zayn thrown into the mix because they seem to like him being thrown into the bloodline stuff no matter what. Um, and then obviously you like the Tama Tonga and Tongaloa and Jason Mateo, Tala Tonga, they weren't around for that era of the bloodline, so I don't think they'd play a major part in it. Um, but like Solo and Sammy, you could have thrown in there where it's like Sammy, if like Jay turns heel and Sammy's, siding with Jimmy, be like, you need to humble Jay Uso a little bit. Um, and Roman Reigns, he can't be at the top of the mountain again, or else, it's gonna all go to hell. Um, and then maybe Solo's and Jay's here telling him the same thing. Um,
Hmm.
so there's a lot of interesting things that they can do with that storyline. And with it being a bloodline triple threat, there's going to be interferences, of course. Um, so I think that can be a really intriguing storyline that they go with if they have Jey Uso win that world title.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. But that is our Saturday night's main event predictions. A fairly quicker episode, because it's only four matches to talk about. There wasn't a whole lot to
Yeah.
break down. But that is our predictions. We want to know your predictions as well, though, because we always love hearing you guys' opinions as well. You guys are just as big of a part of the show as we are. So make sure you drop your comments and your thoughts in the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify. So yeah, let us know that. Make sure, like I said in the beginning, you are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Check out the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page, the Kayfabe Central website. Um, Go ahead and follow Root on Wrestling on actually, you know what? I'll let you plug your stuff. I don't know why I haven't let you done that.
My God. Sure. Yeah, you can follow me everyone wrestling on TikTok. Particularly if you're don't know what the target audience is here, but particularly if you're in around the UK, I do obviously as Josh said a lot of wrestling videos, but I've started doing a lot more of Scottish wrestling and promoting it, and it's going really well, really really well. You can also find me on YouTube at Ruin Wrestling. I was plugging that hard last week, and over the last week, I've completely forgotten about it. So I will get back to the YouTube at some point, but you can follow me over there as well.
Sweet. So yeah, that is gonna do it for us. I've been your host, Josh, as always, with Rule on Wrestling. We will potentially see you on the headlines if I decide to do them this week. I have a pretty busy weekend this weekend, so there's a chance that we won't have the headlines of the week this week. But I will try my best to. But yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys on the next one, whichever the next one is, whether it be the Saturday night's main event post show, which I will definitely be doing Saturday night, despite me having company, because there's whatever the outcome is, especially with a main event, I'm sure I'm gonna want to talk about it. So I will be doing a post show for Saturday night's main event on Saturday. So if that is the next time I see you guys or you guys hear from me, then I will see you then. But until then, take it easy.